Welcome to this episode of Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Lauren Reel, and I'm very excited to have another great show for you guys today. To start off our program, we're going to have our news partner, Vicki McCarthy from the Madison Community Montessori School joining us. Welcome. Great to see you here
again.
Great
to see you again.
So today's going to be kind of fun because we're doing like a part 2 about Montessori in the home.
Right.
I know last time you were here, we started talking about what to do with an infant as soon as they come home to make your home like a Montessori place. So what about that 5 to 12 month mark? Let's talk about what advice you might have for a family that's kind of at that age range right now with their child.
So just like when a baby first comes into the home, when a child starts to move, it's a whole new thing, and there's a lot of transition going on in the home environment because you need to make sure that your environment matches the child's development. And so this too is a time of transition.
Oh, definitely, and I'm sure things change so much, and the world opens up so much for a child as soon as they start crawling and rolling around and having that mobility and that curiosity as well.
Exactly.
So, what developments will parents begin to see when their child does reach kind of that 5 month mark?
Right. Well, every child is different, so typically a child will start to be curious about sitting up, and so you can support a child first with 2 pillows in a V shape so that the child has a little support, and then eventually she'll be able to sit on her own. A child will be rolling, a child will start slithering, and then eventually get up on all fours and the tummy off of the ground and start crawling.
In a full crawl.
Right. A child at this age will start to pull up first to his knees and then to a full stand, and then will start cruising around by supporting himself along the furniture or a table. And then, of course, walking independently.
Those are always such amazing moments to see, I'm sure.
So much happens in such a short amount of time.
So much happens. I cannot even imagine, being a parent at that time, because I'm sure every minute you don't want to miss a single one. There's so many changes. So, along with all these changes that are happening, you need to kind of make some changes in your home to go along with this. So could you start talking about what those changes might be?
Yes. So last time we talked about a physical care area, and we still obviously have such a thing for a child who's in the 5 to 12 month range. But once a child learns to move a bit, you will notice that they will no longer want to stay still and flat on one's back when they're doing a diaper change. So rather than fighting that, introducing a bench in the physical care area will help the child learn to collaborate during that process.
Oh, sure, and just have them want it, allow you to get
a little bit more independence. Right.
That's funny you say that, because you think sometimes as a child gets older, maybe it'd get easier, but it sounds like actually now that they're more mobile, that might be more of a challenge.
A lot of things to be aware of. And then in the feeding area, because the child will gradually start eating solids and food on his own, then you'll want to introduce a small table and chairs for the child to have in his space.
Oh, so they feel like they have their own place to eat as well. Oh, I didn't realize that. That's a great addition. And we'd also talked about other milestones, and then the 3rd and the 4th area. Are there going to be changes that are going to be made to those areas that go along with these milestones?
So the sleeping area doesn't change. We're still talking about the use of a floor bed for a child in this age range. But in the movement area, once a child begins moving, you'll want to remove the thick mat that we talked about last time, because when a child is first taking those unsteady steps, then that mat can kind of hinder that process. So you'll want to remove that.
Because it's an uneven surface.
Right.
Sure.
But then you'll want to introduce maybe an ottoman so that the child can start to learn how to pull up, or almost like a bar on a wall, kind of like a ballet bar, but lower, so that they can learn to pull themselves up and then cruise along that bar.
Oh, sure, and then have that kind of support system as they're beginning to take their first steps.
Right. And as they become more and more independent like that, then you really, safety-proofing your home becomes incredibly important.
Oh, certainly, I can imagine. And also, it looks like you brought with you a lot of toys. So last but not least, let's talk about what toys you might recommend for a child this age.
So this age group, you're going to be looking at eye-hand coordination and then equilibrium. And so having something like this where you've got the pegs on this base is really great. And removing some of the pegs initially will help a child learn how to grasp each of the pegs a little, or the rings a little bit more easily. Eventually learning to do something a little bit more complicated where there are more and you can stack more of them on. This one also doesn't rock, so it's a little bit of a more advanced skill. And then something like this can be found at a local toy store as well. It comes with a hammer, but my suggestion would be to remove the hammer, and then you're just learning how to push with your fingertips, push the ball down.
Oh, and just using more of that movement that they're learning at the time. And I think something you brought up last time that I think is really important to know with these toys is, even though the child's getting a little older, the toys are still, they're teaching new skills, but they're still simple enough, you know, that they're not overstimulating the child or overcomplicating these things. There's still enough for them to work with within these toys that they're learning a lot of of great skills.
That's right. That's right.
Well, this has been fun. Hopefully we'll have part 3 coming up as
good.
well. It was great talking with you again. This has been Vicki McCarthy from the Madison Community Montessori School, and we'll be right back with more Talk of the Town.